What is up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fit Design TV. As always, so glad to have you lovely folks back on the channel. On today's episode, we'll be looking at, as sportswear designers, how to not only design pieces that are aesthetic, that are sexy to look at, but ultimately pieces that are going to be functional. And when we look at function, one of the key components of any great sportswear design is functionality. Functionality for different seasons. So in this episode, I will be specifically focusing on how to develop and design functionality that is applicable to each of the 4 seasons of the year. Welcome to Fit Design TV. Are you interested in sports fashion, design, and manufacturing? Are you establishing your own brand? You're looking good. Anthony, how are we doing? Do you want to? Thank you. Well, you've come to the right place. Lights, camera, action. Let us start off with the coldest season of the year, which is going to be winter. And this is undoubtedly where you're going to need to put your money where your mouth is and design a piece that is going to be extremely functional at keeping the wearer warm, dry, and ultimately comfortable through the many activities that you're going to be taking your sportswear through. So what are some of the key things that I focus on? Well, definitely one is going to be thermal insulation, keeping the wearer, the athlete, warm, keeping them warmed up, keeping their muscles basically ready to go. And when you're showing up to a practice, or whether you're showing up to a fight, or whether you're showing up to the gym, making sure that you're not going to put yourself through injury because you're not warmed up correctly. So warmth is going to be key. Also, you're going to have a lot of showers, a lot of rain, a lot of just unexpected snow. So the types of clothing you design are going to have to be highly moisture repellent. And then lastly, you're going to want to be able to just keep everything very warm, very cozy, and just in general create a active or a comfortable wearing experience for your customers. To do these, I would consider 2 key types of fabrics, and you're going to want to go for fleece. Fleece is great because fleece allows you to just bring in a lot of thermal insulation. By actually fleecing any fabric, we expand the surface area of that fabric on the inside. By expanding the surface area, we allow it to trap more heat, and thereby we make it more thermally insulating. Also, when we fleece a fabric, we just create a hand feel that is a lot more silky. It's a lot more sort of smooth to the touch, which just enhances the wearing experience overall. We also want to look at thermal knits. What are thermal knits? Well, thermal knits are going to be knits with certain properties that allow that specific type of knit to retain heat, so that you're not losing heat unnecessarily and you're able to keep the wearer warm throughout the experience, throughout the activity that they're pushing themselves through. When it comes to design features for winter specific garments, definitely a lot of pockets. You're going to have beanies, you're going to have gloves. So you want to have ample amount of storage to be able to store away these activities, or to be able to store away these accessories. Also, who doesn't like a good hoodie with a warm pocket to put your hands in to protect your hands from the cold? Also, make sure that the colors that you select, especially in areas of the world where you're not going to get as much sunlight throughout the winter months, select bold, bright colors. Select colors that are going to be extremely visible in low light conditions where you're not going to get that much sun exposure. Make sure to bring in a ton of 3M reflective details. That way, even in these low light conditions, the wearer can be highly visible and can be protected from oncoming traffic. Last but not least, with your design details, a good 3-panel hood is going to provide a ton of structure, a ton of coverage for your head. Obviously, if it's snowing, if it's raining, all this stuff is a major plus, and it's going to keep your head thermally insulated, and it's going to keep your head feeling comfortable. It's going to keep your ears warm, and again, that's just going to enhance the wearing experience overall. Next up, we're going to be moving to spring and fall, and I've strategically grouped these 2 seasons together because really in their nature, they're quite similar in terms of how variable they can be. You know, during fall, you have days that can be quite warm, you have days that can be quite cool, and these cool days can creep up on you unexpectedly. The same is going to be true for spring. You have days that can be quite cool and days that can be quite warm, and you never know when those showers, when those unexpected rainfall can creep up on you unexpectedly. So here we need to be prepared for 2 things. Be prepared for hot seasons and be prepared for colder seasons. Also, we need our clothing to be lightweight, breathable. Highly breathable is very, very important because we are going to be layering garments. The idea of layering garments here is that we give the customer the ability to stack up on added warmth and added thermal insulation when they need, and they're able to remove these additional pieces when they don't need it. Also, yes, for those unexpected showers, you want to make sure that you have some form of moisture regulation or sweat wicking ability to keep the wearer dry and comfortable. For this, I would highly recommend a lot of adjusters. You want to bring in a lot of adjustment to the waistbands, the wrist cuffs. That way your garment can be sealed and tight when you need it to be sealed and tight, and it can be easily removed when you want it to be removed to expose the base layer. Zippers are also going to allow you to do the same thing. Great example of this might be a hoodie. A hoodie that is primed for the spring season is going to be a lightweight or medium weight hoodie with a fleece lining on the inside and a water repellent surface finish, and definitely on the wrist cuffs and on the waistband, you're going to have some form of adjustment, some form of ability to make it tighter, and some form of ability to make it looser when you want to take that hoodie off in an instant. When it comes to specific colors to select for these key seasons, my specific colors that I typically like to go for are going to be more neutral and earthy colors, just to reflect the sort of nature of everything, right? There's a bit of a naturic essence of the spring and the fall seasons. Bringing in colors that reflect that energy, reflect that essence, it's just going to make a lot of sense. At the same time, make sure that for both fall and spring seasons, if possible, bring in a lightweight windbreaker jacket with a highly water repellent surface finish. What I love about windbreakers is that they're very easy to pack. Typically, they're a single shell of very lightweight woven fabric, or at max they have a mesh lining on the inside, and they just do a great job at protecting you against the wind and against those unexpected showers that might hit at any time without any warning. Last but not least, we have everyone's favorite season, and that's going to be summer. With summer, obviously, we want to prioritize fabrics and functionality that is going to push moisture regulation at the forefront. It's going to keep wearers actually breathable, so fabrics that are highly breathable, that allow for a tremendous amount of ventilation to keep the wearer cool and comfortable, and ultimately garments that are going to be easy on the skin. They're not going to cause too many rashes, especially in those hotter months. And lastly, fabrics with a lot of stretch, because most of the times your fabrics are going to be cut closer to the skin, so having fabrics that are embedded with more stretch and just overall more movement is going to be much needed during the summer seasons, where people tend to be more outdoors, they tend to be more active, and they also tend to be wearing fewer and fewer layers. I definitely like to look out for mesh fabrics, whether it's a jersey mesh or it's a gauze mesh. I like to look for semi-synthetic blends, so blends that have either cotton, polyester, viscose, rayon. Those blends tend to do very well. I like the polyester because it brings in a lot of durability. The viscose will bring in a silky smoothness to the garment, and then the cotton just brings in a familiarity that is always much needed. Cotton in general is non-hypoallergenic, and it just does very well on the skin. During the winter or during the summer seasons, I definitely prefer to go for more natural to semi-synthetic fibers. It just sits better on the skin, especially as you heat up and you begin to sweat. You want to have a garment that feels very good on the skin, that feels that it won't cause any irritations or any rashes. Sure, you will need a polyester fiber in the composition just to allow for that sweat wicking ability, but blending it with your cottons and your viscoses is going to create that perfect balance that is going to be much needed. When it comes to the design features during these summer months, definitely opt for fabrics that are UV repellent. You're going to have a ton of harsh rays coming from the sun, especially during these summer seasons, so UV repellent is going to be the cherry on top of an already great product. Also, consider embedding some anti-odor or antimicrobial fabrics for when your garments are going to be put through heavy, intense workouts during those more warm times of the year where you're sweating and you're just exuding a lot of sort of sweat. So you want to make sure that you have anti-odor fabrics that are going to keep you feeling fresh all day long. You want to make sure that you select bright, bold, vibrant colors that are going to match the energy of these summer seasons, and it's just going to tie everything in together into your summer collection. Well guys, that is it. That is a wrap on this episode of Fit Design TV. To recap quickly, we always have to consider specific material types, colors, and design features for each of the different seasons that we're designing for. That way, we can create garments that our customers know has been designed and tailored specifically for each time of the year. And that's going to give them a reason to come back to us time and time again to purchase garments that are going to perform better in specific times of the year. Guys, let me know which of the 4 key seasons you find the most difficult to design for and why. And ultimately, which of the 4 seasons that you personally like designing for the most and why. From the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.